Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We'll chant verses 8, 9 and 10 of chapter 1. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha
Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha
Kripascha Samitinjayah
Kripascha Samitinjayah
Ashwathama Vikarnascha
Ashwathama Vikarnascha
Saumadattistatthaivacha
Saumadattistatthaivacha
Anye cha bahavash shuraha
Anye cha bahavash shuraha
Madarte tyakta jivitaha
Madarte tyakta jivitaha
Nana shastra praharanaha
Nana shastra praharanaha
Sarve yuddha visharadaha
Sarve yuddha visharadaha
Aparyaptam tadasmakam
Aparyaptam tadasmakam
Balam bhishmabhirakshitam
Balam bhishmabhirakshitam
Paryaptam tvidametesham
Paryaptam tvidametesham
Balam bhimabhirakshitam
Balam bhimabhirakshitam
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week we were seeing about Karna in the context of building inner strength and taking charge of your life. Now there was a very interesting question which a person has asked. This person has put in a lot of effort, in the sense he is a student of Puranic studies and all that. He is a Sanskrit professor, and he teaches the Puranic, the significance. He studied philosophy. So his question was very interesting. He has asked me as to how is it that we can go into a real depth with respect to these stories, because he is a Sanskrit professor. He's very well versed with the Sanskrit language. But he says, obviously that is not enough, which is right. So he has asked me whether we can go into the depth of these characters and all that better if we have a psychology background. Because he says, Yogeshri, since you're a psychologist too, you've done your master's in psychology, has that helped in going into the depth of these characters? It is an interesting question, and the answer to that is no. If at all I have done my master's in psychology and all that, that has nothing to do with what we are studying here. Now, what helps you to go deep into these characters? It is no doubt the wisdom of psychology, but it is not the external degree of psychology. Every yogi is a psychologist. Because what is psychology? Psychology is derived from the word psyche. Psyche means the mind. So study of the mind is psychology. So in modern psychology, they study about the minds of others. In our ancient wisdom, the yogis, they also had psychology as a part of their sadhana, but their focus was on studying their own minds. And once you go deep and understand your mind in depth, it's not a mere intellectual understanding, but when you do the meditation, when you do the sadhana, and when you go deep within and see the different layers of the mind, and when you awaken the powers of the mind, then you get the capacity to read others' minds also. You may not want to use it, obviously, because see, none of these powers need to be used unnecessarily. They should not be used unnecessarily. But I'm saying you will automatically get that penetrative capacity. So this penetrative capacity, this is what is the key to the yogic approach. This comes through deep sadhana, tapas. Tapas means austerities. So when you try to read the psychology of others without mastering yourself, there is always a danger, because the negativities which are there in others can come and cling to you. So you have to be very careful. So you being a professor of philosophy, now you need to move further up. See, there is a big difference between being a professor of philosophy and being a philosopher. There's a big difference between being a yoga teacher in the sense of teaching the asanas, the movements and all that, and being a yogi. Yogi is one who has gained complete mastery over himself, who has got enlightened, So there is a big difference between being a pandit and being a saint. They are two different things. So this does not come through the length of study, but it's your penetrative ability, your penetrative capacity. And to the extent you do sadhana, you do your tapas and penetrate within yourself, to that extent you will be able to penetrate into anyone, any situation easily. it comes automatically. You gain that razor sharp vision. So you're all very lucky because this yogic approach is being revealed to you just like that. You know, the Himalayan yogis and siddhas, they don't reveal all this to, so easily because of the chances of getting misused. So in order to ensure that that does not happen, that is why I am insisting on your personal sadhana and self-purification. Because the more your mind gets purified, along with the penetrative ability, you can use it for constructive purposes. So don't confuse this with mere intellectual study, the length of how much is being covered. A person may have studied the entire scriptures, all the Puranas, everything, but he may still not have this penetrative ability at all. And another person may have just studied a few things, but he may have tremendous penetrative ability. So it is something like this. This entire knowledge springs from the infinite. So when you get connected to the infinite, thereafter, if you just apply your mind to any scripture, any aspect of this knowledge, immediately the deeper messages get revealed to you. This is what in one of the Upanishads he asks, what is that one thing, if we know, we will know everything else? It's a beautiful question. That one thing is your own infinite being, your own infinite nature. And again, when you study about the infinite nature, that is not enough. You need to do your personal sadhana and get connected with that. So this is the yogic approach. This is the divine approach. It will make you divine. All of you who have been coming regularly, who have been following this regularly, without your knowledge now you will be knowing so many things. But the beauty is, you will not have any value for that external information or knowledge. Your focus will be on doing the sadhana and perfecting yourself more and more. And believe me, after a few years, many people may come and tell you, oh, how is it that you know so much? Immediately don't allow the ego to take over, because the ego is waiting to prey on you. One weak moment, one small weakness, one small hole it finds, immediately the ego tries to enter. So we may study the whole Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, everything, but don't have value for all this. The real value is only for the infinite. That is the very message of the Bhagavad Gita. That is the very message of the Upanishads. That is the very message of all the yogis, siddhas, all the great masters. So don't compromise. So in this yogic approach, we were applying it to the inner strength, how to develop inner strength. So 3 things we have seen here as far as that which comes and takes you away from your conscience. Basically, it is the ego which takes you away from the conscience, but the ego has many methods of pulling you away from the higher path. So those methods we are seeing so that you become fully aware and you're able to conquer them. So first was Bhishma, the ability to distinguish between the higher and the lower. Then we saw Drona, the tendency to shirk your duties. I've been repeatedly telling you, if you say I'm doing sadhana, if you say I'm attending these Sunday lectures regularly, now you should do your duties properly. You should take care of your family. You should do your work, give your best in your work. You should give your best to your children, to your wife, to your husband, to your in-laws, to your parents, to everyone. You should be a very conscientious citizen of your country. And you should always think about the welfare of humanity. Now you may ask me, sir, if I keep thinking about humanity, who will think of me? That question itself is the ego which is asking. When we say think of the welfare of the humanity, you are also a part of the humanity. So I'm not saying you should neglect yourself and think of others. No, you think of everyone, including yourself. So define your roles properly and do your duties to perfection. Niyatam kuru karmatvam, says Krishna. Do whatever you ought to do in a perfect way. Then we saw karna, the tendency to please others, which can develop into the tendency to impress others, especially those who will feed your ego. See, generally when you have negative traits and when someone comes and supports that, your ego immediately likes that so much. So it prompts you to make a friendship with that person. See, if you take the Ramayana, Ravana was doing a series of wrong things. And there were people around him who were just praising him, saying what you're doing is right, wonderful, Sita is meant only for you. It was actually blatant unrighteousness, because he was eyeing the wife of another person, of Lord Rama. But there were enough people to keep supporting him, so he was so happy with them. But there was this one person, Vibhishna, his youngest brother. Now he stood up. He said, Ravana, what you're doing is wrong. This is unrighteous. This will cause your downfall. This will cause the downfall of the entire kingdom. And Vibhishna was so sattvic. He was a man who always followed his conscience. So he was able to see the inherent greatness of Lord Rama. He said, you cannot defeat Lord Rama because righteousness is there on that side. Now, Ravana didn't like it, because what Vibhishana was telling him was not feeding his ego. So at one point of time, what did he do? He banished Vibhishana from the kingdom. And the story is that Vibhishana went and joined hands with Rama. Not because Ravana banished him from the kingdom. No. Actually, he loved Ravana much more than anybody else. He loved Ravana more than his other brother, Kumbhakarna. And it was because of his love towards his brother that he was telling him with concern, listen, the path which you're taking is wrong. Don't proceed in this. You will lose your peace of mind, you will lose your name, fame, power, everything will go away. So with tears in his eyes, he had to leave Ravana. And he supported righteousness. So this is a beautiful example where you tend to, the ego wants to gravitate towards people who feed it. And if you fall a prey to the ego, you will have this tendency. You will have this tendency to, number one, please others, that is feed others' ego, and number two, please those people who feed your ego also. So you need to be very, very careful about that quality, that weakness. So this is what we saw last week. Now this week we'll see the rest of the characters: Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna and Saumadatti. Now, as I told you, I'm not getting into the depth of every character, that is the full depth of every character. Even Bhishma, Drona and Karna, there are a lot of other things. Each one's life, if you take, it's a complete study, as and when the context comes, like how I told about Ravana and Vibhishana. Like this, I'll keep on giving. In this context, I touched upon certain aspects of Bhishma, Drona and Karna. And then these four we will see together, because they form a very interesting chain of qualities, as it were. So, who is Kripa? Kripa was the Kula Guru. He taught the princes the basic education. He was the one who gave them. And then, of course, for higher education, they sent them to Drona. Now, Kripacharya, being the basic guru, the Kula Guru, he was supposed to act according to his conscience, and he was supposed to lead the way. He was supposed to support righteousness and educate the king and others when they move away from the path of righteousness. But the most interesting thing is how they have portrayed Kripa is, what did Kripa do throughout his life? He was actually the brother-in-law of Drona. Drona had married Kripa's sister. Now, throughout his life, what did Kripa do? Nothing. He was very, very passive in life. This is one major weakness which people have. When they face a problem, they don't do anything about it. They just sit over the problem. This tendency to not act, to be passive and just sit over your problems is the next block which does not allow you to build your inner strength. You just have to analyze your own life and see. If I were to, it's very simple, if I were to ask you to put a list, all those things which you think you need to complete in life, the unattended areas of your life, you try it out today, you sit and start writing, you will be surprised. A long list will come. Something as small as cleaning my shelf, cleaning my PC desktop. Most of the people, when you open their desktop, it's like a mass of confusion. See, you may ask me, sir, after all, it is a computer, it is there only. No, you're operating that computer. So, how your desktop is a reflection of your mind only. So, there is this tendency to be very passive in life, especially people who get into spirituality. They misunderstand the message of the scriptures. And when they hear things like God will take care, God is the ultimate doer, so you have to surrender everything to God, what they do is they surrender their efforts also. They stop putting in effort. They become very passive in life. No. Spirituality is not about passivity. It is about being dynamic, aggressive. Aggressive means, I don't mean violent here, not that meaning of aggressive, because I don't know what you understand. There is already enough problems are there in your life. Now, don't go about fighting with others and then don't say, oh, because Yogeshri said we have to be aggressive. Aggressive here means the watchfulness, the ever alertness, the dynamism to act towards finding solutions for your problems. How many people I know, they say, I don't get the desired results in my life. For example, a person loses his job. He says, I'm not getting any job. Now, how many jobs have you tried? Hardly a few. This is passivity. If you apply for 100 companies, you may get 2 or 3. You will have to be dynamic. You have to conquer that tamas, that laziness, and learn to put in that efforts. A person wants to get married. Oh, sir, I am not getting married. I always ask them, so what is your financial position? They say, I'm not getting enough amount every month. Then I ask them, if you get married, how will you manage? Okay, the other person will also, supposing the other person is working, he or she may also bring. But what about from your side? See, you have to first prepare yourself. Prepare means not endlessly. I am saying you should become dynamic and qualified for anything in life without putting that effort in a particular field. You want the results. That is no use. We will be seeing that, wanting results without putting in efforts, in the character of Saumadatti. We will just, all these 4 qualities are related to each other, So the first thing is passivity. If you want to evolve spiritually, you should overcome this passive nature. See, Kripa was so passive. He never participated in any discussions. Whatever anybody told him, he used to say yes, yes. Being a yes man, as they say. And then towards the end, Ashwatthama asked, he asked Kripa to accompany him to go and burn the Pandavas when they were all sleeping in their camp. Of course, he was not successful because the Pandavas were not there, but the sons of the Pandavas were all sleeping, and Ashwatthama did the terrible thing of burning them. But the worst part is, what was Kripa doing? Ashwatthama had told him, listen, you stand outside, he and one more person. He said, you both should stand here and ensure that nobody escapes from the camp. That is what Kripa was doing, because he was asked to do so. He had no thinking on his own. He never thought about anything. He never came to his own conclusions, what is right, what is wrong. Absolutely no effort. Very, very passive. You know, many people who do wrong things, it is because of passivity. They just get into bad company and then they stop their thinking. Why did you do this? Because my friend asked me to do this. So you should learn to overcome this passivity at all levels. First, at the thinking level, you should start thinking originally. You should come to your own conclusions. Then at the feeling level, you should not be passive. Then at the action level, you should conquer your tamas. Success is for a person who is dynamic. See, this ancient wisdom has actually two aspects. One is the relative wisdom, which teaches you how to achieve success in life. And basic success, when I say success in life, all the areas of life, not just one area. It gives a very formula for success. It enhances your powers so much to be able to succeed in life. This is on one hand. On the other hand, it also gives you the higher wisdom to be able to get connected with the infinite. So you need to learn both these aspects. There was one person who sent a message to me that during this lockdown period, he was watching the 10-day healing program which I had taken, and he said it was out of the world, and then he continued to watch it again and again, the same 10-day series. And in the evening, so he was, after the first 10 days, then he was doing his Yoga Sankirtan Sadhana in the morning, and then evening he was watching this. And when the rules of the lockdown was a little bit relaxed, and they said I don't know about other countries, but here first it started off by saying you can work from 11 to 4 or something, some timing they gave, 11 to 5 or something like that. Now he went to his office, he's a businessman, so he went to his showroom the first day when this rule was relaxed. And then the next day he didn't go. And the reason he was telling me was that, sir, you know, doing the sadhana morning and then listening to your that 10-day course, when I was hearing your thing, it was so wonderful. I don't now want anything else in life. I didn't feel like going to work today, so I didn't go. I went yesterday, but today I didn't go. So I cautioned him. I said the very idea of doing sadhana is for you to get connected with the infinite, no doubt. That is on one hand. But on the other hand, it is to become very dynamic in life and fulfill all your duties. You should not become passive there. He, of course, he's such a wonderful sadhak. He's so attuned. For any sadhak, there can be a slip, you know. But the moment I told him, he immediately absorbed that message. Actually, when the moment I told him, he went and immediately got dressed and went to his office, because it was still during that time, you know, between 11 and 4. So you have to be careful about this weakness of passivity. So if you're passive in life, but you're saying, I'm very devoted to God, so I don't know why these negative things are happening in your life. I don't know why this person is coming and is being rude to me. This is happening, that is happening. Of course, all those things will happen. You cannot afford the tendency of kripa to grow in you. So beware. This is kripa. Now, what is Ashwatthama within you? Ashwatthama was a son of Drona. When we did this character of Ashwatthama in the Gita Dhyanam, I explained to you how he represents the meanness of the mind, how he can go to any extent to fulfill his desires and all that. But now, I'll tell you one aspect of Ashwatthama which was a very terrible thing. This is directly related to the inner strength. Ashwatthama had one weakness, and that was he used to do actions without taking into consideration what will be the consequences of his actions. He was very famous for that. Whenever you do any action, you should always think about the consequences. Where will this action lead me? If you just allow your mind to flow without any direction, that is a very dangerous thing. See, I'll give you a couple of instances where Ashwatthama did things without thinking of the consequences. You know, when Drona, his father, died in the battlefield, Ashwatthama got very, very angry. He got so angry that he lost his cool, he lost his mind. So he came and he told Duryodhana, you don't worry, I will kill the entire Pandavas and the Pandava army at one stroke. How? He sent one divine weapon. He invoked a divine astra, and that was called the Narayanastra. The Narayanastra was one of the most potent astras which had no counter weapon. And that had the potential to destroy the whole world. There were several astras like that. And Ashwatthama had in his possession 2-3 very powerful, dangerous astras, you know. So he invoked the Narayanastra and sent it to the Pandava army. And the Narayanastra was one such weapon that it had the capacity to multiply itself depending on how many opponents were there. Supposing it is one opponent means it will be one weapon. If there are 10 means it will become 10 weapons. If there are 1,000 opponents means 1,000 weapons, 1,000 parts it will become. Each part equally potent as the single one. That was the power of that weapon. So he just simply invoked it without thinking of the consequences. What it can do to nature, what can happen, nothing. Simply just do it. And the entire Pandava army, you know, the Narayanastra was engulfing them. They didn't know what to do. Of course, the Pandavas had Krishna as their guide, and Krishna was the avatar of Narayana. So all this Ashwatthama didn't know. So the solution which Krishna gave was very simple. Everybody asked Krishna, so what do we do now? Even Arjuna didn't know what to do. And Krishna said, very simple, this has no counter, but there is one way by which we can master the Narayanastra, we can master this weapon. We can ensure that the Narayana Astra will not harm us. And that way is by simply kneeling down and humbling ourselves and bowing down to that weapon. It's very symbolic. I'm not getting into that full thing now. When you become humble, how when you leave all your ego and you bow down, how even the most deadly of the weapon will become your friend. So everyone knelt down, and all the warriors, they just bowed down, except one person, and that was Bhima. Bhima was also a hot-headed person, So he told Krishna, Krishna, how can I bow down to a weapon which this Ashwatthama has sent? So the ego took over for Bhima at that moment. And he said, no, I will not bow down. I will just defy that. So he stood in defiance. And what happened is, the Narayanastra, which had expanded, which had multiplied, now started shrinking, and it became one, and it started coming towards Bhima. Still Bhima refused to budge. Then Krishna had to come to Bhima, and he told him, Bhima, drop your ego. And he pulled him. He said, drop your ego this second. He told it so powerfully. See, that is the power of a master. When a crunch situation is there, he didn't have time to convince Bhima and all that. Very, very powerfully, he said, Bhima, drop your ego. And he almost in a very angry tone, he used the weapon of anger to dislodge the ego of Bhima temporarily. And the moment he heard Krishna's words, all the ego was shattered, and he immediately bowed down. And the Narayanastra, it got dissolved. This is the story part. But imagine the act of Ashwatthama, without any thought about the consequences, sending the Narayanastra. The same thing he did towards the end. Last week I was, last week when I was, I don't know which week, when I was explaining to you about the Brahmashirsha, that weapon which Ashwatthama had invoked. See, in the end, when he tried to burn the Pandavas, and the sons of the Pandavas were in the camp, they all died. Now when Ashwatthama came to know of that, he got very angry. So he took that weapon, Brahmashirsha. I had explained about this incident when I was talking about Drona, how he taught the incantation of that weapon to his son, who was not actually qualified to receive it because he didn't have a pure mind. But his son kept on pestering him because Drona had taught Arjuna. Brahmashirsha was such a powerful weapon that it also had the power to destroy the world. Especially the counter weapon. The only counter weapon to Brahmashirsha was another Brahmashirsha, which Arjuna also invoked. And then Vyasa came in between and said, both of you should revoke the weapon, you take them back. Arjuna was immediately able to take it back, but Ashwatthama was unable to take it back because his mind was impure. The rules of using that weapon were that you need to have a pure mind. If you do it with an impure intention, then you will not have control over that weapon. You cannot recall the weapon back. And when Ashwatthama could not take back the weapon, what did he do? He had to do something. He said, okay, when I invoked the weapon, what did I say? Let this world be Pandava-less. That's what he said while sending the weapon. He said, I will do one thing. I will send this Brahmashirsha to the womb of Uttara. Uttara was the wife of Abhimanyu, who was the son of Arjuna. So I will send it to the womb of Uttara. She was carrying. So that this weapon will go and kill the embryo. That way, I am killing the next generation of Pandavas. So the world will still become Pandava-less. What a mean action to do. Then Krishna intervened and he saved that embryo using his yogic powers. And that's how that baby was born. He was great Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit was the one to whom the great rishis revealed the entire Bhagavatam. And that's further stories there. So if you take this action of Ashwatthama without thinking of any consequence, he just simply invoked that astra and said, let the world be Pandava-less. So this is a terrible weakness which many people have. See, all these weaknesses everyone has, the degree will vary. So you do actions without thinking about the consequences. One person, he told me once, sir, I never think, I first act. After acting only, I think whether what I did was right or wrong. He was telling me this in a very proud way, I just don't think, I just go and act. So every action, every emotion, every thought which you generate has consequences. That is what is the law of karma. So you need to be very careful. I'll give you some practical applications. When you talk to your children, supposing you're constantly comparing your child with somebody else, some other child, and if you keep saying, look at that child is getting good grades, but you are not getting. It looks a very innocuous statement, but what is the consequence of that comparison which you are making with respect to the child's psyche? The entire self-confidence of the child can get destroyed. When the child grows up, he or she may get into an inferiority complex, constantly comparing himself or herself with others. So without thinking of the consequence, I see many parents just comparing themselves, comparing their children with other children. When you are harsh with someone, when you go and hurt someone with your words, what are the consequences? Your words, see, whatever harsh words which you use will just be for a second or a few minutes. But the effect of that can go for years in that other person's mind. The great saint Thiruvalluvar, he gives in the Tirukkural, Teenal Suttapun Arume Arade Navinal Sutta Vadu. Means when there is a fire injury, that wound will heal, he says. But when you injure someone with your tongue here means with your words, he says that will not go away so easily. He uses the Tamil word vadu when it comes to verbal harshness. Vadu means a scar. When he talks of the fire injury, he uses the word pun. Pun means a wound. But when it comes to the words, hurting somebody with words, he says vadu. Vadu means a scar. It will create a scar. And for the scar to go away, it's not so easy. So you should always think about the consequences of your speech, the consequences of your actions, the consequences of your emotions, consequences to yourself and to others. You should not act in a rash way. Most people suffer because of that. You know, in a fit of anger or a fit of emotion, you go and do something or you say something which you yourself later on regret. So Ashwattama in you is that tendency to act without looking into the consequences of the action. So be very, very careful. I know a person who, you know, at a peak of his career, he just suddenly resigned his job and he came home. He had 3 children, his wife, she was a homemaker. Nothing he cared. He had taken loans also. Why? Because he had a tussle with his boss, you know. So one fine day there was an argument and all that, and one fine day he just said, okay, I resign. He wrote his resignation and came home. He suffered, his family suffered. For almost 1 year he couldn't get a job after that. So just a rash action without thinking about the consequences. So when you perform such rash actions, what will happen is slowly, your inner strength, your inner power will go away from you. Your ego prompts you to act in a rash way, whereas your conscience tells you to pause, judge, think and then act. Pause, think should come before judge, you know. The pause, think. Here when I say judge, I mean judgment, the discrimination, the discernment, you know. Pause, think, judge and then you should act. This is very important. So that is Ashwattama. So Kripa is passivity in life. If you try to overcome passivity, there is a tendency to go to that extreme, which is rash action. Like running, like blindfolding and then running. So whenever you get into any kind of addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or all that, think of Ashwattama. What is the consequence of this action which I am doing? Even when you're planning your finances, just because you go for shopping, you see a nice gadget, you don't think whether I require it right now, whether my finances will permit me, if an emergency comes, the future, have I set my finances properly? Nothing you think. Oh, I like it, so immediately you grab it. It's a rash action. When somebody comes and offers you a huge loan, immediately your mind gets attracted. Can you really repay that loan? See, people ask me all the time, is taking loan positive or negative? As far as ancient wisdom is concerned, loan is not a good thing. But when I say this, many finance people, they come and ask me, sir, how is it possible to live without a loan? Then at least I tell them, see, loan is like putting your legs in water or entering water. Now when the water is up to the ankle level, you can easily manage. When it comes to the knee level also, you can manage. When it comes to your waist level, slightly difficult. Your movement becomes a little difficult. Knee level itself, very slightly it will be difficult to move. Now when it comes up to the chest level, it will become more difficult for you to move. Here, the water, and if it comes here, you will collapse. Same thing with the loan. Ensure that your loans are at your ankle level, within your capacity. Then there are no issues. But you go and take loans beyond your capacity. Why? Because of that rashness. You are unable to control your desires. You just get attracted to some gadget, or you see your neighbor having the latest cell phone. Whether you want it or not, you don't question. Immediately, blindly, you just go and do something. So this, why I am giving you such practical examples is just to show to you that these principles can be applied in every area of life. Health-wise, what is the kind of food which you are eating? That has a consequence. Without any thinking, eating too many processed foods, factory processed foods, I mean. And they pack it so well, and you don't think at all. Oh, how nice it looks, and you immediately take it. I know people who consume things like potato chips and all that from the stores which they buy, which has so many preservatives, and it really does not do good to your body. It actually harms on a daily basis. See, once in a while, if you have no issues, on a daily basis they have that. They have a few soft drinks, of course, hard drinks. I'm not getting into that. But on a daily basis, if you keep having such unhealthy food, then what will be the consequences? How will it affect your health? You don't think at all. And suddenly you get acidity, you get into all, when you have too many soft drinks, the pH value of the soft drinks are very low, and they can erode the calcium in your bones. So you get into joint pains, the bone density reduces because of the acidic content. You don't think of all that. So from this moment onwards, pause, think, conclude, come to a firm conclusion, judgment, and then act. And if you have any doubts there, if it's a very major decision in life, yes, you consult a higher intellect, you consult your guru. When I say consult your guru, not for every small thing, I mean for major things in life where you're not sure. Don't act in a rash way. So this is Ashwatthama. Vikarna is very interesting. See, Kripa was a person who never thought at all, whereas Vikarna was not like that. Vikarna was a brother of Duryodhana. He was one of the 100 brothers of Kaurava, among the Kaurava brothers. What happened is, when Draupadi was disrobed in the court, everybody kept quiet. But Vikarna stood up and he questioned that. He told Duryodhana, he told Dushasana, this is not right. There is no righteousness here. How can a lady be treated like this? That too in front of great people like Bhishma, Drona, everyone. I condemn this. I cannot play a party to this. So he had that righteousness in him. He had that thinking capacity in him. And he came to a firm conclusion that this was wrong. Vikarna. But again he had the weakness, one weakness, that is, he didn't have the capacity to act on his decisions. To act upon his decisions. Duryodhana immediately told him, Vikarna, listen, if you don't like, you go out of this court. You can go. And Vikarna just quietly left. It is a classic example of thinking, analyzing, coming to the right conclusion, but then not backing it up with action. This is another weakness. So when you are passive, Kripa represents passivity. When you try to overcome passivity, you will get into one of these two. Either you will become very rash, represented by Ashwatthama. Without thinking of consequences, you will get into action. Or you will not act upon your decisions. You will think and you will decide, all that you will do, but you will just not execute and complete the action, complete the process. So Vikarna in this context represents that tendency in you not to complete the process, not to complete your actions, not to back your decisions with execution. A great thinker, he said, in every creation, in every act of a genius, I see my own rejected thoughts. What a brilliant statement that is. What his meaning is, whatever the genius thought, even I had those ideas, but I didn't execute those ideas. I left them. Whereas a genius is one who worked on his ideas. He worked on his original ideas. He put in that hard work and he had that strength, the vigor to complete and execute whatever he thought about. So make a list again. It's very interesting. How many actions do I leave incomplete, in an incomplete state? It's a common thing, you sit to do something on the PC. Many people have told me this. They just keep doing some work and in between they just leave that incomplete. Then because suddenly there is a prompt that a mail has come, then they start checking the mail and then some ad comes. So then they start seeing the ad, then they start playing a game. Like this, their energies get frittered away. So you should learn to complete your actions. When we do the Hiranya Garbha Yoga, when I start teaching that, actually I had planned to start that this month. We had planned that the Yoga Sankirtan event would have completed, would have got over in March, and then after that we had planned to start the Hiranya Garbha Yoga system. But due to this lockdown and all that, those plans are not possible to execute now. But we will see whether online it's possible. But first let us complete the Yoga Sankirtan. Actually many people ask me, even this Yoga Sankirtan event, sir, now this lockdown is there, we don't know when the auditoriums and all will be open, so shall we cancel off the event? I told them no, let us not straight away think of cancelling something. Think of other ways. Let us see whether we can still have the event. That should be your approach. If nothing else is there, of course, then it's a different matter. But otherwise, there is a tendency to leave everything incomplete. A yogi is one who does not give word so easily, but if he gives a word, he will follow it, he will complete it. He will not commit so easily, but if he commits, he will fulfill that commitment. If you say to somebody, I will come and meet you at 10 a.m., you have to be there before 10. And you have to respect that person's time. It's your commitment, you're giving that commitment. You should follow your whatever decisions which you take, whatever you say, you should act upon them. You should not talk in a loose way. This lecture is from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Those who are living in India, oh, it is available online. Let me see it at 7:30. Let me see it in the evening. Then the discipline is not there. I'm not talking of those who are abroad. I understand the time zone difference. And so, but you fix a particular time, commit to that, and then you stick to that. That will build a lot of strength. Don't be like Vikarna. Okay, so Kripa, Ashwatthama and Vikarna. Saumadatti we will see next week, because this itself a lot of points. I know I covered 3 points because they are all interlinked with each other. Saumadatti is also interlinked with Kripa. I will cover it very briefly now, and these 4 characters again I will touch upon them next week, and then we will go to the other verses also. So Kripa is passivity, that is you don't put any effort at the thinking level, emotional level, at every level. Now Saumadatti was a son of Somadatta. Who was Somadatta? He was a son of a king called Bahalika, who was supposed to be the elder brother of Shantanu, who was a father of Bhishma. So that goes into another story. Now Saumadatti had another name called Bhuri Shravas. Shravas means hearing, praise, self-praise. Bhuri means abundant, too much. So it's a beautiful coinage. Bhuri Shravas means that tendency in you wanting to constantly hear praises about yourself in abundance. That is the meaning of Bhuri Shravas. So what do we mean by wanting to hear self-praise? It means wanting to take the credit. Bhuri means too much. Why too much? You relate it to Kripa. Kripa is one who is passive, who does not put any effort. So when you don't put in any effort, the Bhuri Shravas will also become active in you. You will only want to take the credit. Many people, they don't want to put in the required effort, but they want the results alone. They want the good effects. Are you doing your sadhana properly? No. But then you want your mind to be under your control. How is it possible? So whatever I think that is not materializing, my goals are not getting fulfilled. What effort have you put in that direction? You always want good results in life, but you don't want to put in that required effort. That is the combination of Kripa and Saumadatti. And when you try to overcome this passivity, this lack of effort, you will either get into Ashwatthama, which is rash actions, impulsive actions without thinking of consequences, or you may get into Vikarna, you go on analyzing, deciding, but you never act upon your decisions. So it's a beautiful structure. Now don't ask me, sir, why didn't you reveal the structure when you took the same verse earlier? As I told you, this is like a gold mine. I can go on just Saumadatti, if you give me, I can go on getting into the depth of it. As and when the context comes, that aspect of the wisdom I am revealing to you. So today, very powerful points have been given. Think over them. After the talk, see, when you're listening, no need to write notes. You first listen to them, absorb whatever you can. Then you try to formulate and write down your points and see how you can apply these things in your life. And if you have any questions, do send them to me. I will answer them. So next week we will go into a little more practical application of these characters and a few other things. It will be the structure will be the same, but the dimensions I will reveal a few other dimensions, and then we will get on with the other verses also. Okay, so a lot of questions have come, so we will take up those questions. First, last week itself, that lady from France who had asked this question about negativity and positivity, there was one aspect which is still remaining, and that is she had mentioned that she's a very positive person. She has done yoga, meditation, all this. She has tried to be very positive in life, and people do call her a positive person in spite of many challenges at the personal level, at the family level and all that. But she got a chronic disease, and she was diagnosed as suffering from a burnout syndrome. So she had asked, why is it that in spite of thinking positively, being positive, why did I get the disease? Now, this is a very important point. That's why I didn't take it last week, because last week I didn't have time. But there is a very important point which I want you to note, all others also. See, when you say positive thinking, even when I say think positively, I'm not talking of psyching yourself to believe things are positive. That is only at the conscious level. See, you have so many layers of your mind. First is the conscious mind. Then if you go within, there is a subconscious mind. And then if you go within, there are the deeper layers of your mind, further deep layers. Like you have the superconscious mind, you have the cosmic conscious mind. Like this, it keeps on going. The yogis had discovered many layers of the mind. Now, when you say, I'm trying to think positively, I'm trying to generate positive emotions, when you say these things, what you mean is positive thinking merely at the conscious level. But at the subconscious level, the deeper layers of your mind, what is the kind of energy which is being generated? Is it positive or negative? You need to find out. You will not be able to find out just by analysis. It is only through the deeper sadhana that you will come in contact with the deeper layers of your mind. So when the deeper layers of mind have very many impressions, what we call as psychic impressions, which you gathered from many negative incidents of life. But at the conscious level, you may be saying, you may be genuinely trying, with all the sincerity, I will try to think positively, I'll try to feel positively. It will not work. It's like, there is a lot of dirt on your face. Instead of cleaning up the dirt, you just wear a nice, wonderful covering, or you just apply some makeup or something, and you make it look very neat and clean. It is like that. However sincere you are, this issue many people face. So when I am talking of positive thinking, I am not talking of merely at the conscious level. Actually, conscious level of your mind is only 5%. 95% is beneath your conscious mind. I am talking of the deeper layers of the mind, starting from your subconscious to further deep. So when you say I practice yoga, meditation, see, meditation cannot be practiced when you go to a real master, who has done that tapas, who's connected with the infinite, and when you receive the energy from him, you will become truly meditative. So meditation is a process by which you go into the deeper layers of your own mind. That cannot be taught. It's when a true master will be able to give you that experience. So that those sadhanas which you're saying are all not deep enough to tackle this issue. So now that you've got connected with this yogic approach, what you do is you do the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana on a daily basis. Slowly you will start penetrating the deeper layers of the mind, and from there you will start throwing out all the negativities and building the positivity. And we have the Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment Program next month, the 5th, 6th and 7th of June. Now, when you attend that program, I'll be taking you very deep, and all the negativity stored in the deeper layers of your mind will all get released. How many layers you will penetrate, how much you will release, that depends upon each one's level, receptivity. So many things are there, but everyone, whatever level you are in, you will move to the next level. Personally, to do the sadhana and penetrate all this and release will take time. That is why I'm having these empowerment courses. So you keep on doing your personal sadhana, that will prepare you, and then you come for this Yoga Sankirtan empowerment courses, other courses also, whether it's Kaya Tattva or we had this finite infinite. We'll see how to do that online. I've not thought about that, whether it's possible or not. We'll see that later. But whenever you get the opportunity to attend the empowerment programs, come, because the effect of that will be like 6 months, 1 year, you're doing your sadhana, and just in one session, the energy can be raised tremendously. So when you, with the guidance of a true master, when you penetrate within your own, the layers of your mind, and change the negative energy pattern from deep within, from negative to positive, then you will find that all the circumstances will change, your health will improve, everything will start happening. So I'm very happy that you asked this question, because this is a very, very useful tip. Because of your question only, I'm giving this tip to all the sadhaks. So remember, all these principles will not work if you don't do your personal sadhana. That's why I'm insisting on this Yoga Sankirtan, for your own good, because it is one of the most powerful sadhanas which can clean up all the layers of your mind. There are many, many levels in Yoga Sankirtan, and as you master the first level and as you get purified, I'll be revealing more and more. And you will be amazed, because how much of muck we store within ourselves and we are not even aware. It's all covered, And only as you do your sadhana, that has to be opened up. Only then you will be able to handle them. So that is the answer to that question. A few more questions are there regarding this Yoga Sankirtan program. I'll take them up. The first question is, this is regarding the MP3 versions. Hari Om Yogeshri, it is really wonderful experience listening to MP3 versions of Yoga Sankirtan, sir. It is totally at a different level, Guruji. He is talking about energized MP3s which have released recently. We are 4 of us in the family and watch your discourse regularly. I completely understand the significance and importance of having separate MP3 versions. Each individual in the family, MP3 versions for each individual in the family. So I have bought 4 MP3 versions of Nirvana Shatkam, Sri Haridhyana, Mahashivadhyana and Yoga Vishramaha for each one of us. The challenge is, all 4 of us have an iPhone, but we have only 2 laptops for syncing with all the 4 iPhones. This could be a technical question and I genuinely want to resolve this. Please guide, sir. You're asking me how to put it on an iPhone and all that. It's better that you ask the volunteers. Now that I have read the question here, I request the volunteers who take care of these technical aspects to guide this person. I think iPhones you cannot directly download, you need to sync it with a laptop. And if you have only, you're saying you have 2 laptops but 4 iPhones, that is each member is having one iPhone. I would say you download one into one laptop, sync that, and then you can take it out of your iTunes and then download the other one, sync it to the other person's iPhone. So you have to do that only. There is no other way. More than this, you can ask the technical people. But the point is, I'm so happy that you've got this message that this is a sadhana material. This is not simply like an audio, like a song or something. So I genuinely appreciate that you have got this message that each sadhak should have his or her own copy for doing sadhana. This is very important. Then only you can receive that energy. If you take the Mahabharata, all these people, they used to worship their weapons. Arjuna's weapon Gandiva, he never allowed anybody else to touch his weapon. Even if you go to many artists, like a tabla artist, if you tell him, sir, shall I also play in your tabla? He will say, no, I cannot give you. If you take a flutist, he will have many flutes. And they see, an artist actually develops a person relationship with his or her tool. And it is said in our Shastras that have a meditation seat. And on that seat, you should only sit. You should not share your meditation seats, the asanas. Just a cotton cloth, folded cotton cloth or a woolen blanket folded 2-3 times should be sufficient for your meditation. But remember, you should have your own seat. It is said in the Yoga Shastras, all the Siddhas and all practice that very religiously. So similarly, this Yoga Sankirtan, Yoga Vishrama, I am going to give release the yogic bhajan Sankirtan also. All these are sadhana materials. So you need to have your own copy and do it with that devotion, that bhakti. Bhakti is very important. How much ever knowledge we gain, when we bow down, only we can receive that higher grace. So be very devoted to your tools. And here in this context, the tools of your sadhana. No carpenter can work without tools. Similarly, no sadhak can work without tools of sadhana. Okay. Then other questions are related to the Yoga Sankirtan program. I am taking, even though I got them last week, I am taking them on priority because they are related to the event. So, Pranams Guruji, is there any age limit for Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment program, Guruji? There is no age limit because I have seen that children and babies receive better than adults. It's very interesting. In the Shastras, Prahalada, he received the initiation from Narada when he was in his mother's womb. Narada was passing this energy to his the mother of Prahalada, and she slept off. She didn't receive. But the womb, the embryo inside the mother's womb was Prahalada, and he got that initiation. That is what has been described. That is another science. It's called Garbha Vigyan. Garbha Tattva, the science of the womb. That's why I tell all the pregnant women, please listen to the Yoga Sankirtan every day. And when you do that, whether you receive the vibrations or not, your child will receive the vibrations inside the womb. Such children who are born like that will be divine children, So there is no age limit. In the last Yoga Sankirtan session, that is not in India, this is which when I had in US, almost every session some pregnant lady was there, and there was one lady who had registered for 2 people, and the organizers asked her, where is the other person, the companion? Then she said, this is a womb. She had kept a name and all for that baby, So she had registered for the baby. I said, that is not required. I mean, they are divine children, She said, no, sir. Right from the womb itself, I want him or her to be very conscience driven. So when there is a registration, yes, I want to register for that small child also. Very interesting. And what she told me was that during the empowerment session, she could feel, mother can feel her child. She said, I could feel the baby responding in a meditative way. That was what was interesting. So absolutely no age limit. As long as a child can sit quietly. If the child is too restless, obviously you cannot force the child to attend. But otherwise, it's fine. And Hari Om Yogishri, I have registered for 6 persons with my email, but my parents are in Bangalore. Should I share my link with my parents? This question again you can ask the technical people. They will be able to tell you this, because what they are doing is, for all those who have registered earlier and who are registering now also, they are creating a username and password. Username will be the email with which you register, and password they will be creating and sending it to you. In case you already have an account with Infinite Wings, when you purchase some CD or something, that you already have a username and password otherwise. So then using that, you will be able to gain access to this page where you can watch the video. So one email can have only one access. That is, this username and password can be given to one email. So in case as a group you have registered, but you want to see individually, then you should give an email address for each participant. Then only a separate username and password can be assigned. So more technical things, the team will be contacting you anyway, and they'll explain to you. Then the next question is, shall we watch, Hari Om sir, shall we watch Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment as a family, like we watch Sunday sessions? See, Sunday sessions are different. Whatever we are having now, this is healing meant generally for everyone. But Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment sessions are going to be very, very specific. I will be directly, connecting with each and every one who has registered. So it would be better if you watch it separately, probably using the headphones and all that. But in case you don't have many instruments like many phones and all that, then it is okay. But when you're in a group, ensure that you focus on your sadhana and your release. Because sometimes I find that when you're with your family members and when something needs to be released, you become self-conscious and you don't release it. Ensure that that does not happen. And one more thing is, even if whether it's your family or anything, remember, this should be shown only to a person who has registered for the event. This is an empowerment course. I am directly going to connect with the registered sadhaks and doing a lot of things. So if a person who is not registered sees this, that person may not be able to handle the energy, because I will not be focusing on that person. The energy uh, the empowerment will not be directly given, but it is very dangerous for them. So anybody who has registered can participate in this. If somebody has not registered, this is not like the Sunday event which is free for everyone. Okay, so remember that there is a reason for keeping this registration. These are all very sacred truths, secrets, and it's like, performing operations at a subtler level, at the astral level. So a lot of things are there. So please don't play about with it. The other question is about Karma Yoga. That question I'll take up next week. The person has asked, how to do the Karma Yoga, how can I spread it to others and all that. My point is, don't think so much. Just start spreading the word to people. Whatever you've benefited, you should share with others. And don't worry about their reactions, whether they will react positively, negatively. That's what he has asked. I will cover it in detail next week. But start off the Karma Yoga process. Don't think too much. Don't go on analyzing like Vikarna. He's not executing the action. You're only saying, I want to do Karma Yoga, how to do Karma Yoga, what will be the reaction of others, how to convert that reaction from negative to positive. Finally, what have you done? Nothing. It shouldn't be like that. Start doing Seva. Seva, you execute it. As you start doing, you will face a lot of challenges. We'll see how to handle them and we can go. Because remember, Seva helps you to grow spiritually. It helps you to burn up your karmas faster. That is why. Okay, so now we'll have meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am not this intellect. I am that supreme being, that infinite consciousness. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. I choose to lead a straightforward life, true to my conscience. I am always attuned to that infinite being, to that truth within me. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Open and close your palms a few times. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, top of the head, the back of the head. And very, very slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. A lady had sent a message saying that last week's meditation was very powerful. It's not only last week's, every week, even though I'm taking this for just 5 or 10 minutes, they are really, really powerful. I'm invoking a lot of healing energy, especially now. I'm preparing you for the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment which we are going to have next month. And as I told you, I'm giving the healing also to prepare you, all those who have registered. So start practicing everything which I'm saying and don't leave your personal sadhana. If you're having CD, if you have a CD player, no issues, listen to them, listen to the audio CDs, Yoga Sankirtan. If you're listening to it over the phone, use the energized MP3 version. This is very important because I want you to get prepared so that you receive maximum during the empowerment session. And another thing is, the volunteers, they are using many softwares, they have all that to create the system. So they have to create the usernames and passwords individually. So the faster you register, they will be able to do that. So this time, the last minute registration and all that will not be allowed. Generally I find many people just 5 minutes before the event they register, or they come on that event and then they register. See, those things you should never do. You should be well planned and you should never postpone things. So especially now in this system, this online, for this online course, they require some time to do certain things at the back end, and then they will have to get back to you. What I would suggest is, once the volunteers contact you after you register, you use the username, password, and go to that. They will be sending you the link also where you can watch the video. So you go to the link, log in, and they would have placed some small video right now, just temporarily, about Yoga Sankirtan, 5-minute video or something. You can just watch it once you get used to that system, so that on that day suddenly don't come in the last minute and you don't know how to do it, or you've forgotten your password, then you have to change your password. See, you should always be well prepared in life. A spiritual person is one who is well organized. A yogi is one who is well organized and does things in a very disciplined way, Okay? So do your sadhana and prepare yourself for this powerful event which we are going to have next month. Thank you.